No one's done that before. You know, it's not a party, it's not a show, it's not theater, it's not opera, it's not an art opening, it's something else. And I think that's the most magical part of it. It really energized me, and I remember telling everybody I could about it, how artists could tokenize their work and tokenize their audience and create new forms of relationships where it becomes, instead of attention culture or influence culture, it becomes ownership culture. I got this idea of starting a gallery, we call it Bright Moments, and have a couple screens and show NFTs. And I remember thinking about art shows and how are we going to, you know, fill this space. And the first artist that I reached out to was Jeff Davis.
He just pinged me on Twitter and was like, hey, I'm opening an NFT gallery in LA. We had a video call and he sort of, you know, walked me through the little brick space in Venice.
And the show was called Portals. And there were 10 pieces that he minted on art blocks that we sold.
I hadn't heard of, you know, anybody doing that. I was a fine artist for 20 years before I got into NFTs, and so I was very interested in the idea of having work up in a physical space, sharing it with people in a social setting. That was very important to what I was doing before NFTs. And then every project I've done since Venice has been an in real life project. I really think about the space where they're going to be and the event, and I really sort of program the artwork particularly for how it's going to be exhibited. And obviously Bright Moments is killing it in that regard.
Jeff really introduced us to Art Blocks.
Art Blocks is a platform for generative art. The artist puts a script online. The smart contract mints a random hash, which then creates a unique output from that generative script.
Okay, I've created this algorithm as an artist, I've set all the parameters, I've tested it, and you don't know what you're gonna get, right? So it goes back to slot machines or Cracker Jacks of this kind of magic moment.
And so at this moment of generation that happens, there's this instant sort of bond that is created between the artist and the collector. I've never had an art experience like that before as an artist, being able to like just have that really intimate moment of creation.
That people attached emotionally to what they saw, that it reminded you of you in some deep way, that somehow the algorithm was talking to you, that it wasn't random even though it was random.
Digital art in general hasn't had an audience, I guess, in the broader contemporary art world. There is some really, really great art. This is the right vehicle, I think, for it. It's okay that a work of art isn't in a frame necessarily on your wall as a physical object. And that's also why I'm, again, very excited about what Bright Moments is doing, is they're finding a way to create experiences around digital art that have been previously sort of relegated to what you would do with physical art in terms of museums or galleries or those sorts of things.
Before Bright Moments, every single Art Blocks drop was done online. And I think CryptoVenetians was project number 95.
Seth had told this idea about CryptoVenetians, and they wanted these randomized 8-bit characters. And I mentioned to him, I said, well, Art Blocks can do this, and it can just generate them, you know, on the fly randomly, just the same way we do any of our generative art projects. So we worked with them to get the CryptoVenetians live for the in-person minting.
And so when we think now about Bright Moments, it's this overlap of a couple things. One is a 10,000 character PFP project. One is on-chain generative art. And the third piece, and probably the seminal piece for us, is IRL, in real life. And I feel like over time we'll be seen as having really been the pioneer of that particular art form that we're trying to elevate city to city as we go.